Hello, my friends. DM Dango here again with another review from the DM's Guild. This time, do your players seek a Valentine-themed adventure filled with mazes and traps, NPCs galore of ghosts and gods? Well, then come with me. We shall look upon the Labyrinth of Thorns. So, what is the Labyrinth of Thorns? The Labyrinth of Thorns is an adventure for 4 4th level characters, or 3 5th level characters. The adventure is also part of a larger campaign setting that the author has alludes to in various points, in this kind of idea of a war between angels and demons, and kind of an idea where the angels aren't always good and the demons aren't always bad, and it's kind of like this ongoing struggle. I like to see those kinds of lore hints to say, here's a thing, here is a little nugget of... J.J. Abrams has a great talk on mystery boxes. If you haven't watched it, I would suggest as a DM, you go do so immediately. It's this idea that you create a mystery box and you never open it, but you keep it there. And this has some of those where it's kind of like, here's a mystery box, here's a mystery box, here's a mystery box. And I like to see those in kind of well-written novels and things like that. And it's really great to see those kind of things represented here as well in some cases. I'll go on to that later. Now, in terms of who this is for, I think this is probably an adventure more aimed at more experienced DMs who can handle certain issues that exist that arise within the module. There is a lot more prep work to do, in my opinion, than a more traditional you grab one of your Wizards of Coast ones and pull it out and just read and you're ready to go, basically. This one, I think, takes a little more prep, a little more time to kind of understand what's going on and how it kind of hangs together. And also in terms of running the various NPCs that you have to do as part of the adventure module. Now, included in that is everything. So you get all the maps that are included. You also get all the puzzles and how they work. You get all the riddles. You get all the NPCs that you need for their stat blocks, and you also get all the page numbers for everything you have to look at for the monster manual stuff. Now, what do I think about the module itself, though? Yeah, I spent a lot of time kind of thinking about this one and reading through it and kind of going around the houses, and I asked my wife as well to kind of read it through and kind of see if we could come to consensus together about what we thought about the module. And I think we kind of both came to the same consensus. It's written like a novel. It's written like how you write a novel. And I think that's where it kind of starts to fall apart a bit. There are multiple DM NPCs, so there are 3 that I could count that you have to run in and around the final combat round. That's in terms of what ends up in this, because I can give you the numbers because that's not going to spoil anything. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures for the DM to manage. 2 on one side and 3 on the other, and then all the player characters. That's a very complex battle encounter for what is essentially a one-shot adventure. That's a little much, I think. That's where I kind of feel. There were some other issues as well around descriptions of rooms and descriptions of things. Now, normally when you're presented with a description of a room, you get that little box, that little kind of saying, here is what you read as a DM. And it's nice to see that because you can kind of just go, okay, I can just safely read all of this and I don't have to worry about spoiling anything for my players. In this case, there's a lot of stuff in there, and then it's like, okay, here's all the description bits, and it's contained within, and then it will jump to the DC for this door is 20 or something like that. That's really jarring as a DM because you have to kind of mentally go, I can't read this bit, I need to read the bits after it though. I also think that there's a lot of points in this module where the author uses the DM NPCs to force player choice, and that always feels like a dangerous, slippery slope. Feels like you're trying to tell a specific story, you're trying to write down a specific story, you're trying to say, I want my players to do this, I want this to happen, I want this to happen, and I want this to happen. That's kind of the antithesis of what D&D is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about player agency. It's supposed to be about players making choices. It's supposed to be about DMs making worlds and the players making choices within those worlds. So, however, it is well written. The descriptions that are there are incredibly evocative. They meet the criteria of all 5 senses. They detail smell, sight, sound, taste, touch. Everything about the descriptions is beautiful and wonderful, and you get the feeling that you're in this city and in this maze and in this place. It is very immersive, descriptive writing. It is beautifully written, and I would love to read a novel from this woman, from this author, because they can clearly write very well. I think what they struggle with, though, is they can't, or they haven't had enough experience to be writing. They haven't had experience writing adventure modules to know what kind of the structure. It's not a problem of thematics or writing ability. It's a problem of structure, and structure could be fixed very easily. And even from like a DM picking this up, they could easily deal with this. They could easily go, okay, well, I know what this description is. I can write a little note, put it here. But there's all that extra prep time that you don't get in some of the other published adventures that you see. And that's kind of where it falls a little flat. Currently on the DM's Guild for $1.99. At that price, it's probably worth a punt. It's worth a shot to see what it's like, whether you agree with me or not, and kind of make the same conclusions I did about the DM NPC issue or about the description box issue. Now, in terms of my personal rating, I can't really give it anything more than a 4, and that's what I'll be rating on the DM's Guild. I actually think if the DM's Guild would allow more gradation in terms of their rating system, because I have an issue with a 5-star rating system because there's no difference between a 3. There's a big difference between a 3 and a 4 in terms of like what you perceive as quality internally. And I don't think this warrants some of the other things I've warranted given a 4 for. I think it's probably a 3.5, somewhere in that range. And there are things, but to be fair, the things that are wrong with it are easily improved and fixed by a DM. Changing DM NPCs, making them more passive, removing them. Changing things like adding in the description boxes would bump those numbers up, and you would get a more proper 4 from me. In terms of the actual structure, in terms of the linear nature of it, that's kind of what you get in a one-shot, to be fair. You want to kind of shuffle your players forward as quickly as possible, especially a themed one. You kind of want to... You can't really run this kind of thing more than one day, because it's like, oh, we're doing the Valentine's Day themed day on the February 14th. And now we're doing it again next week. Might not work out so well for your players. So I think the problems with the terms of structure can be fixed. I hope the author comes back and kind of goes, oh, yep. Or she can just ignore my advice completely. Either is possible, and I'm happy with either. But that's my opinion, as it were. Finally, please do remember to like and subscribe. I'm trying to do more of these videos. I'm trying to get out 3 a week. But I need to know if you guys are liking them, if you're enjoying them. And tell your friends. Tell your friends to like and subscribe to videos. Tell your friends to come along and see this guy who just doesn't know really what he's talking about much of anything and wears weird-ass t-shirts because he's the only one that was clean. And makes weird voices in the intros. Oh yeah, I'm not going to be doing voices all the way through anymore because that was very annoying and actually hurt my throat quite badly. Anyways, thank you. Peace out.